Welcome to Recognised Audio Edition. I'm Merisha Stevenson. Every week I explore the psychology of credibility, visibility and authority and why some people, ideas and organisations become recognised while others remain overlooked. This week we're discussing when AI decides who the expert is. Now, as a journalist, if I wanted to find an expert on a subject 10 years ago, I'd usually start the same way. I'd ask somebody. A colleague might know the right person. Another journalist might make an introduction. An event organiser might point me towards a speaker they'd worked with before. Sometimes I'd spend half a day on the phone being passed from one recommendation to the next until I found the person I needed. Now, it wasn't always efficient. It certainly was not perfect. And it was often influenced by networks, relationships and reputation. But fundamentally, recognition was human. Experts were identified by people. Lately, though, I found myself noticing something different, not just in journalism, but across business, media and everyday life. People aren't always asking other people anymore. They're asking AI. Who are the leading experts in leadership? Who should I follow to learn about artificial intelligence? Who are the most influential voices in authority positioning? Who are the best keynote speakers? Who understands behavioural psychology? Increasingly, these questions are being directed towards machines before they're directed towards humans. And the more I think about it, the stranger it becomes. Because when we ask ChatGPT who the experts are, we're not simply asking for information. We're outsourcing judgment. We're asking a machine to help determine whose voices deserve attention. And that raises a question I don't think enough people are talking about. How does AI decide? Not who is famous, not who is loud, not who has the biggest social media following. Who is an expert? Because unlike a conference organiser, a producer or a journalist, AI cannot meet someone and instinctively recognise authority. It can't sit across someone in an interview and think, oh, that person really knows their stuff. It can't observe the way a room responds to a speaker. It can't feel credibility. All it can do is analyse evidence. And that is where things start becoming very interesting. Because evidence and expertise are not necessarily the same thing. Some of the most knowledgeable people I've met have very little public footprint. They are respected inside organisations, they're trusted by clients and are extraordinarily good at what they do. Yet, outside of those environments, they're almost invisible. There's no articles, no interviews, no published thinking, no podcast appearances, very little evidence of expertise that a machine can actually find. Meanwhile, somebody else may have fewer years of experience, less practical exposure, and arguably less depth. But they've spent years creating visible signals of authority. They publish, they speak, they appear on podcasts, they contribute viewpoints, they write, they become discoverable. So when an AI system goes looking for expertise, who do you think it's more likely to find? This is where I think many experts are about to face an uncomfortable reality. For years, visibility has often been treated as something optional, a nice to have, something that sat somewhere between marketing and ego. But what if visibility is becoming infrastructure? What if the ability to be found, referenced and understood is becoming part of what authority itself looks like in the digital age? Not because expertise matters less, but because discoverability matters more. The old phrase used to be, it's not what you know, it's who you know. I'm beginning to wonder whether the next version might be, it's not just what you know, it's whether you can be found. And for a growing number of experts, founders and leaders, that may prove to be one of the defining professional challenges of the next decade. Thanks for spending a few minutes with me. If this episode resonated, I'd love for you to subscribe to Recognised on Substack, where I publish weekly essays exploring authority, visibility and recognition in modern life. And remember, recognition isn't just about being seen, it's about being understood. Until next time, stay credible, stay visible, and most importantly, stay recognised.